listen to the DeCesare Group Podcast. Welcome back. I'm your host, Jim DeCesare, and I'm glad you're here. A brand new school year is underway, and I'm excited for this week's guest. Rob Clayton has been superintendent of Warren County Public Schools since 2013. It's the fourth largest and arguably one of the most diverse school districts in the Commonwealth. More than $200 million of capital improvements have been made under his leadership, including the impressive Impact Center that just opened. Here's my conversation with Rob Clayton. Clayton, welcome to the DeCesare Group Podcast.
Hey, thank you for having me, Jim.
Well, it's an exciting time of year, another school year just starting after doing this since 2013. What's it like for you when those first few days arrive?
Well, it's definitely one of the most exciting parts of the year, and I think if we do a great job with the planning and preparation, it's really just a feeling of excitement and really want to get out and see our students and our staff on that first day. But outside of transportation, I will tell you that usually it's just visit all the schools and listen to a lot of positive feedback with the positive energy. And again, the planning and preparation that starts well into the spring always pays off if you're paying attention to those details.
You know, talking about school buses and, you know, all the staff that you have, you know, teachers, school bus drivers, people serving the meals. I mean, how many staff members you have in the school system?
Well, we have approximately 3,000 both full-time and part-time employees, many of them who have been with us for quite some time. But you're right. It is quite a challenge when you have the responsibility of operating, you know, arguably the largest transportation department in our region. And then you can say the same for the food service, serving millions of meals a year. But when you have great people who truly are passionate about students, it's amazing to see how everybody works together and really tries to create a special experience for our kids. You know,
you mentioned that you start planning for the next school year in the spring, and I'm sure that continues on through the summer.
Absolutely.
Contrary to popular belief, you're not off all summer long. You're working.
That's so true. It's always a busy time here in Warren County, especially with the number of facility projects that are always in the ground, and we're monitoring. That adds an additional layer. But the summertime is really an important time to not only finish up those important details, but then a lot of professional learning occurs across the district, both at the leadership level and then also the instructional level.
All right. Well, let's take a step back in time here a little bit. Talk about your career that led to being superintendent. Talk about some of the biggest changes regarding school leadership since you first got into education.
Wow, you're going to take me back a little bit. I was just sharing with staff. It's really the first time I've reflected back on this, but I'm starting my 27th year in an administrative role in education. And
were you in a classroom before that?
I was. So it's just year 34. I spent 7 years as a high school teacher in Louisville at PRP High School. It was a tremendous experience. I think the key piece there that I think has helped me as I've evolved into a leadership role is just understanding how important it is for our most vulnerable students to have an adult that puts an arm around them, takes interest in them, and trying to help them. That's something that just through my own upbringing, I don't know that I fully appreciated until I became a teacher, and learned very quickly that if it's not for us out there helping, there's really no other entity. And I've always tried to keep that at the forefront of every decision, that every child matters every day, and it's up to us to provide them that opportunity.
Yeah. So when you first got into administrative work, what was your first role?
So my first role was an assistant middle school principal back in 2000 in Oldham County Schools. I could still remember the excitement of making that transition. But it was bittersweet because I really wanted to stay in the classroom for a few more years. I was coaching football and track and field, and really thought that would be my career trajectory, not trying to think too far out. But I had an assistant principal at PRP that really encouraged me to look into going back to school to get the administrative degree, not so much for the near term, but down the road. And so I did that. And just fortunately, had the opportunity to move to Oldham County, and then really just never looked back.
Yeah, and I've noticed among educators, there are a lot of people who sort of give you that piece of advice or encourage you to do something. I mean, he was looking out for you, saying, "Hey, you might want to do this because it could pay off down the road."
Absolutely, and it was Jim Kessinger. He's no longer with us, but that was special because I hadn't had a lot of people, outside my immediate family at that point in time, kind of reach out and say, "Have you thought about this?" Mm-hmm. And I've tried to pay that forward with many educators through the next 30 plus years, and trying to help identify potential opportunities. Just like our kids, we want our adults to succeed.
Sure. Yeah.
And we often talk about every decision's made in the best interest of our students, but that means you also have to think about your adults, because they're the ones that are on the front lines making it happen, whether they're a certified teacher or a classified staff member. Everybody plays a significant role, as we see here with our daily transportation challenge. Those bus drivers are absolutely as critical as any employee in our organization.
Well, you've mentioned busing twice, so I'm going to make a public service announcement real quick. Because for those of you listening, in case you don't know, there's a new law on the books.
That's right. That's great.
If you're coming down a 4-lane highway and there's no divider in the middle, like a grass, if it's all correct. Asphalt, please you have to stop both directions now.
Absolutely. Both directions, please stop. We want to keep our students safe. We want to keep our general public safe.
Yeah.
There's a lot of traffic out there, and when you throw our earliest learners and students in general, it can be dangerous. So we want folks to stop and allow our bus drivers to safely transport our students.
Yep, and so just keep that in mind if you're driving down Nashville Road or any of the roads here in town that have 4 lanes. If you see that bus and that arm's out, you have to stop in both directions.
Right, and that is tricky, just like Nashville Road, because you don't have that that divider. It has to be concrete, I believe, grass or some other type of medium. But if it's asphalt all the way through, you must stop on both sides.
Yeah, so if you're going out Russell Road towards Logan County, you might be okay.
You might.
So anyhow, well, so with school just starting, of course, this is a milestone year for Warren County Public Schools because of the Impact Center. What was the vision behind creating this center, and what do you hope students take away from the experience? Because this is truly impressive. We've had Allison Mefford on to talk about it, but I want to hear your insight.
Well, first of all, it's probably not the most creative and engaging story, but there is a little bit of a twist. But in reality, it spawned out of just how can we increase the opportunities for our students. And a part of that thought process was looking ahead at the ever-changing environment, primarily with technology and artificial intelligence. Back in 2020, I attended a leadership conference out in San Diego, and I can still remember on that Saturday, as the conference had wrapped up just previously, reflecting on our next steps and where we needed to go from an opportunity standpoint, and reached out to Chris McIntyre on a Saturday and shot him a text. And C-Mac, that's right. And from there, that was the momentum piece. And so we explored some things. And then fast forward, I think, to 2022, we can throw a little paper napkin into this. We were on a board at a board conference, and we had completed a session. We were sitting around out on a patio, and that's when I really dug into, here's what I think we should do as a district. And so we sat around as a board and superintendent group, and that really got the wheels going. And really, fast forward now, 4 years later, we have the Impact Center. And as you mentioned, extremely excited to be able to provide this opportunity for our kids. The community has been unbelievable. They have their footprint on every aspect of this facility. We had stakeholder groups, students, parents, business industry, local leaders. We wanted to do what was in the best interest of this community, and hence you have the Impact Center.
So at the Impact Center, there's a focus in several different areas. Talk about those for a few moments.
Sure. Well, we have 5 academies there with 18 separate pathways. It's not meant to be a duplication, but you'll see some of these pathways also occurring in our 4 comprehensive high schools. Primarily, what's unique about this is the artificial intelligence space. We know that that's going to become a part of everybody's everyday life, and we want to position our students to have the skill set to explore those opportunities beyond graduation. And so you'll see that we have an artificial intelligence pathway that we just created for the entire Commonwealth in collaboration with IBM. We're behind as a state. And so we have a long path ahead of us, and I felt strongly we could not wait any longer to put this opportunity in front of our students. And so our students will be the first in Kentucky attacking the artificial intelligence pathway. We have opened it up to the Commonwealth. We certainly are wanting to see students all across have the opportunity to engage in this pathway as we make the Commonwealth better. But I think a couple other unique strands that are really what separates it. It is a leadership and innovation center. And leadership is first for an intentional reason, and that is the immersion of leadership with all of our students and our staff in that school is really core to the learning there. And then it's going to have an entrepreneurial piece to it. We really believe that we need to expand our students' opportunities in exploring entrepreneurship. It happens in all of our schools. Our community comes in and helps us with that, but it's happening in pockets. And as you know, if you want to create excellence, you really have to be process-oriented, but you also need to make sure that it's done with fidelity and you're able to cascade and increase the impact. And we're confident that the Impact Center will enable us to increase opportunities for students across our entire district, but also help us elevate the quality of teaching and learning. The quality of the student experience in our schools is always going to be core to our work, and you can trust us always to look at opportunities to elevate what those experiences look like for our students.
I'm going to come back to Impact Center in just a second, but you mentioned leadership, and of course, with Warren County Public Schools, that starts early. It doesn't just start at the Impact Center or in high school, because the Leader Me program has been a huge success for our school district, and you're working on those at a very young age.
Absolutely. I inherited that back in 13-14 school year, my first year, and could not be more proud of the vision that our previous leadership and the board, but our community, right? Our community, Joe Natcher and some other very
Chamber and
absolutely were instrumental in that, and I think that's what makes this truly a special community. The Impact Center would not be where it is without the tremendous support of our local chamber. I never envisioned that. That was something it's been a surprise in this role, but it goes to really show you how our leaders in this community want to see us create a best place for people to live and raise a family.
Right.
Our motto is a best place to work, a best place for students to be educated, and a best place for you as a parent to send your child to be educated. And I think because those visions and those desires and goals are in close alignment, it makes it a great partnership.
With the community backing, I mean, you've got businesses, the Bowling Green Area Chamber of Commerce, other counties have been involved in this as well. SCK Launch is sort of a,
it's a model.
It's a model, yeah.
It is.
And it's all about making sure that our young people are ready for that next stage in life after they finish high school, and if they go to college or trade school or whatever, that they're a productive part of our community.
Absolutely, and many of us are blessed to learn a lot from mom, dad, family, but the reality is we have a lot of students that don't have and experience those positive influences, and I've always been quick to acknowledge that I had no control over that.
Right.
Kids don't, and they're a product of their environment, and what our schools do is try to support our students, especially those that come in those from those tough situations, and try to lift them up. And this district and really Bowling Green, really public schools in general, that's the heart of their vision, is really trying to give kids hope. We think that everyone deserves that, and we want to be a part of that.
So at the Impact Center, there you mentioned several academies. I know you've talked about the AI. I believe there's advanced manufacturing.
There's advanced manufacturing.
Aviation.
Aviation is going to be a huge one.
Yeah.
It's going to surpass really even our initial expectations of what we're going to be able to provide for our students. You know, another aspect of this, Jim, is we said from the very beginning that we see this being a center used by the community and the adults in this community, and we've offered that up as well. It's a major investment, right? Yeah. A major investment, and I think it's important when you do that, you leverage that investment in as many ways as possible that makes sense, but you try to be efficient with that. And I think when you look at the efforts of our entire organization, that's something that's always at the forefront with all these projects. The graphic design and media arts is second to none. I know our local TV stations would love to have that set up that we've been able to provide our students, but we're going to prepare them for it.
Yeah, and it's basically, if you ever watched The Mandalorian on the Disney Channel, it's the same type of studio deal.
You're absolutely right. Have that same screen. I mean, our students are going to be able to create AI videos. You know, the first full AI movie came out several months ago. We met with that company. We also believe that not just the opportunities that happen with interacting with the transformative equipment in there, but then also the relationships and the connections with some of our business and industry leaders. The medical arts pathway, I've already had 2 individuals say that this is nicer than many med schools, nursing schools. And, well, it's going to be our plan is to have it capable of being a nursing school. So I guess that was a positive to know that it meets that standard. But again, this would not have happened if we didn't have tremendous community support. Our state legislature, my 14 years here, I never had an individual ask, and we did this year to help us with some of the expense with the technology, and they came through. And I'll tell you, that's a game changer because it positions us to be able to accelerate much quicker down the road as we look at additional opportunities.
Yeah, and on the aviation side, you actually have real flight simulators in there. I know, was there a dozen?
Oh, there's more. We have 16 of the typical. I believe there's 4 those that have the seats, the harnesses, and then we have one. Believe it or not, that I'm not sure this new airplane that comes out because I'm not in that elite class, but it has a parachute, and so that simulator would qualify a pilot to be able to fly in that particular plane. But the G-forces, I've already heard 4 or 5 G-forces you'll experience if you turn that plane too quickly. We're looking at having an airplane hangar. One of the projects that's a part of this process is our kids will be building airplanes. And awesome. It really is. Our kids are capable of so much. It just requires some intentionality on our part, but then certainly some expertise. And we have some really strong private sector folks that have come over that want to finish their career teaching our youth. And so the energy is it's truly unbelievable over there. And
it's not unlikely that a kid could come out of high school with a pilot's license.
That's the goal. And you think about the expense.
Yeah.
We're already doing a great job across the Commonwealth in providing students 1-2 years of college prior to graduating high school, which is obviously accelerating their career, but then also saving them substantially. And that's something we always want to do, and the Impact Center is going to be able to do that in a number of fronts. The RN, we're looking at being able to position students to graduate Warren County Public Schools, come back for 1 year, at the Impact Center and have an RN license.
Wow.
And so those things matter,
Yep.
and we're happy to be in a position to do that.
I know we could talk about this all day, but I'm gonna move on because it is just so exceptional. And if you've driven down I-65, you've seen that magnificent facility and all the great things that have been going on there. Talk about the size of the district, about over 18,000 students, 25% growth, and how you're preparing for the growth that's coming by 2050.
Yeah, that's really one of the biggest lifts here in Warren County Schools, is knowing that we're going to continue to grow. It's when we redistrict, it's not a matter of if, it's when.
Mm-hmm.
Those are challenging times. No board, no superintendent wants to redraw lines, but that's the product of progressing and growing as a community.
Yeah.
But with that, I would have to make it well known that Chris McIntyre, our CFO, COO, does a tremendous job of working with our planning and zoning folks, looking at the census. That's something we're always trying to identify as new neighborhoods. We're constantly trying to evaluate the placement of our schools, with Summit View coming on board next fall. And we know the South End is going to continue to grow. But I will tell you, when people figure out about the East End, or I guess it's the North End, but it's the Warren East area, it's really a diamond in the rough. And we're going to experience an explosion in population at some point. Now, is that next year, 2 years? But a lot of opportunities out there. But the big thing on that is having close communication and collaboration with our community leaders, so we have an understanding of where growth is going and try to stay out in front. Serving on the chamber board has been a benefit, but we've always been in close contact with our chamber and economic development folks, so we can grow in the right way.
Yeah.
And I know that's what's important to our local
growth,
leaders.
yeah.
Smart growth is critical.
So since you've been here, you've included several new programs and academies. We've already talked about Leader and Me, which you had inherited. But talk about the Beacon Virtual Academy, Geo International High School, and, of course, we've discussed the Impact Center. What's your philosophy on giving students different pathways and different ways to learn?
Well, we've long held a belief that the most important program or activity that we provide as an organization is the one that your son or daughter is involved in. And because of that, we're constantly looking at the opportunity space, and then how do we not only improve existing opportunities but create new opportunities. And the specific examples you reference, we brought Beacon Academy, our online academy, back. It had been in existence years ago, and we just saw a real need for the virtual instruction, knew that was going to become more common, and it allows students to be able to accelerate. And we've long known that personalizing learning, differentiating to meet students where they are is essential. And so it enables us to allow students to expedite their learning and progress ahead and accelerate at their pace. And then with the Geo International, again, similar to the Impact Center, we were having discussions about how can we improve the opportunities for our non-English speaking students, primarily our refugee students that come over in many cases from very tough circumstances. And that spawned the Geo International High School, and it was another collaborative group. It didn't come out of the superintendent office or the board office. It came by bringing the right leaders to the table to examine a challenge, and the challenge was how can we improve opportunities, and hence you had Geo International High School.
Fantastic. All right, so let's wrap up with this final question. With everything that comes from running a district this large, how do you make sure you don't lose sight of the reason you're doing it in the first place, the students?
Absolutely.
And is there a particular instance or student over the years that has stuck with you? And
well,
I'm sure there's many, but
I'll promise you there's many. And now that I'm aging, it would probably be easiest and most efficient to come up with the student that I've had here as a superintendent. And so I'll share that one real quick. And that is, and it goes back to Geo International High School. But the first time that I've ever had a high school student hug me and say they loved me was a Geo International student. And I learned after that, because I had come over to visit and met with students and spent about an hour there, and this interaction happened as I was walking out the door. And, of course, I was obviously caught off guard by that. And then I learned that the principal, prior to my arrival, had shared with the students, the gentleman coming to speak with you is the reason Geo International exists. Now, that was an exaggeration, but nonetheless, he was trying to share that the superintendent was greatly involved in this, but that student took it literal and to the point felt compelled enough to say thank you and I love you. And, that's what it's about. Yeah. And it was because that student had the maturity to know that we've given them an opportunity that, quite frankly, didn't necessarily have to happen. And as far as staying in tune with the students, that's easy. It's everything we do is what is in the best interest of the students. And so that's not a big lift, despite all the other noise. The reality is 95% of this job is working with incredible staff on behalf of incredible students, and I feel very blessed and honored to have been here the last 13 years.
Mr. Clayton, thanks for being on the DeCesare Group Podcast.
Thank you. It's been a joy being here.
Thanks again to Warren County School Superintendent Rob Clayton for joining us this week on the DeCesare Group Podcast, and thank you for checking us out. If you like what you hear, please share it with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave us a review and share your feedback with us. You can also follow the DeCesare Group across all of our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. And you can even subscribe to our weekly newsletter, SOKI Economic Development and Business News, by going to our website, thedecesaregroup.com. The DeCesare Group Podcast is produced by the DeCesare Group, a public relations and consulting firm based in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Our engineer and Warren County Public School alum is Justin DeCesare, with content contributions from Brooke Mattingly and Amy DeCesare. I'm Jim DeCesare, inviting you to join us again next time for the DeCesare Group Podcast.